That's her book, fantastic. So while she's getting her book out, because we do want you to be able to see that, I'm going to go ahead and, well, actually, you know what? I'll let you read her Bible.
Oh, thank you.
Since you said you can
Yeah.
see real good. In the meantime, while you're doing that, I'm going to hold the book up so
All
they can
right.
see.
Pastor Teresa Hatcher was born in Jena, Louisiana in January of 1948. She is a child number 8 from 15. Oh, she is child number 8 from 15 children of her parents, Levi and Mary Hatcher. Pastor Hatcher accepted the Lord as a child and was baptized at the age of 12. She is an ordained evangelist and pastor and is known for her ministry called Hatcher Halo Christian Ministries in Las Vegas. If I get that wrong, correct me.
Hallow.
Halo. All right. As an employee of the United States Department of State for over 12 years, she has traveled extensively. Pastor Hatcher has worked and ministered in several countries like Peru, Sierra Leone, West Africa, Paris, France, Morocco, North Africa, and many other countries. Besides English, she also speaks 2 other languages, which include French and Spanish.
Isn't that fantastic?
It is.
I was just so impressed with all of the things that she does and has done. And this is her book. Take a look at that.
Wow.
Isn't that a beautiful cover?
I love that cover.
That is awesome.
That's the Jesus I know right there.
Yes, yes. And it is so thick. So my first question is, what made you write this 380-page book, Pastor Teresa Hatcher? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Praise the Lord. Well, the request to write this book came from the Lord. I say that it was a follow-up from a word the Lord had given me about 20 years ago when he said he would bless me in a way in the business type and in the, I never can remember the word that he gave me at that time, but he told me he would bless me in that way. So then about a year ago, he spoke to me about it was time to write the book. He did this 2 times, and that's how the book came to be written, Here in God Speak.
Wow.
Thank you.
And it is quite a bit and has so much information. Now, when you began writing this, now I know this is not on our sheet. I usually do 10 questions, and the audience know that. But it just came to me. When you began writing this, did you have any idea it was going to be 380 pages?
No, of course not. In fact, I thought I was going to finish the book in 2 weeks, but it took over a year.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Good books usually do.
Yes,
They
yes.
take a little longer.
It has so much important stuff in it for the believers to hear from God. Do you really believe that it is important that believers hear from God?
I surely do. I think that in order to work for anyone, you have to be able to talk to them. And we work for God like we work for our boss on a job or what have you. So it's essential that we hear God and we be able to speak to him and believe that he talks back to us. And that's how he helps me in my everyday life.
Fantastic. Go ahead, DW.
Well, you start off talking about angels. Tell us about that. Tell us about the angels.
Okay, my response to that was that you can see in my book that I have had many encounters with angels. The Bible speaks about them in, I say in the book of Hebrews, the 1st chapter and the 14th verse. And it says that they are ministering spirits that are sent forth to minister for those who are heirs of salvation. So then we see that God talks about them. We see that they were at his resurrection. We see different times where they appear in the Bible. I mentioned Gabriel, who came to Mary and talked about when he announced Jesus would be coming and would be born to her. He talks about the archangel Michael at different times. But I met angels, not angels like Gabriel, but angels that God sent to me to either warn me or tell me something that I needed to know.
Fantastic. Now, when they came, did you know they were angels?
No, not all the time. As I grew in God, I began to understand that these were creatures that were from God somehow.
So, when we think of that, and I know the listeners are saying, okay, she's got to ask this question. Is it like in the form of a man, or is it in a form of light? I mean...
Okay, I mentioned, I think, 3 different times that I met angels. and all the time they were visible so I could see them in the form of a man, but not a physical man with flesh, but a man in the image of a man, but spiritual.
Oh, okay. Fantastic, fantastic.
Yes.
Because they say sometimes you'll have angels unaware. Like somebody will come and they'll ask you to do something, maybe give them water or something, just to test you. And so they say, and that definitely is a form of a man. And so you'll see and sometimes have angels unaware. So that's why I asked that question.
So you're sure that they're angels. Like one time I tried to do a little angel thing for one of my pastors, and I mowed his lawn, and I was hoping he'd come home and think angels did it, but his wife was watching me out of the upper floor window. So he knew it was me. But so you could really tell the difference between the angels and men.
Yes, because she
Right.
said it's an image. It's an image of a man.
Right.
So,
One angel I described in detail. He looked more like light, but he was in the form of a man. He had a head, hands, feet, and everything.
Oh.
But he didn't have blue eyes, and he didn't have ears with carbons in it or holes in his nose. He was in the image of a man, but he didn't have all these attributes. He didn't have hair. He didn't have things like that. So you knew he wasn't a natural man.
Yeah. Okay.
and she does talk about that in her book. She has 3 different times where she's talking about her angel. And again, that's why this book is so thick, because she goes into detail with everything. I was really inspired, and I'm jumping off the question, of the story that you told about the honorable marriage. I started reading it. I couldn't put it down until I finished it. So I was like, this book has so much information that I really enjoyed, parts of it. Because, again, I didn't have time to read the whole thing, so I started skimming through it. And I got to that, and I'm going, okay, let me read about this. And next thing I know, I'm still sitting and reading, So
Good.
it's really good. Go ahead and ask the next question.
Please explain what it means to get a word of knowledge from God.
Okay, I speak about a word of knowledge in my book several times, as a matter of fact. One of the instances I talk about it, it was a word that the Lord gave me to give to a young lady in Morocco, North Africa. Now, word of knowledge is not exactly prophecy, but it can be something that we understand, like we understand prophecy. It can tell a future event. In particular, in this case, the word was, you're going to pass the test. That was the word. She was getting ready to take a test to become a student in the United States. She was a Moroccan student. And so the Lord told me to tell her she would pass the test. But in the book, we found out that actually she had an attack, I would say, from the enemy, and she actually failed the test that morning. And I said, no, I know God told me. She said, but I got my paper out of line, and I actually got all my answers in the wrong place. And so then I explained to people that even though it's a word from God, the enemy can attack you and try to prevent you from getting what God said. So she had to go back and take it, and she passed it.
Okay.
Fantastic.
She actually passed it the first time, but she just didn't align it right.
I
Right.
never thought of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, the devil,
Yes.
he's crafty. Isn't
Oh,
he?
I
definitely.
never thought of that.
Definitely.
But that's exactly what happened.
Especially when you're given a word of knowledge. And I like the way you broke that down, because a lot of times people will think prophecy, it's got to be a prophecy, or they'll say, oh, it's a word of wisdom and God gives that, drops it on you. But there's also that word of knowledge as well. And when he gives it to you, he does want you to do what you're supposed to do with it. And a lot of times we're afraid to do that.
Sure, yeah.
So because she speaks and hears and listens, she knows when it's the Lord, and she's able to do what he says do. And that's what he wants us to do, to be obedient. So
Right.
like I said, just in reading parts of the book, I was really, really interested in. And now I am going to take the time to read the book.
So my sheep hear my voice. That's
Yes.
Exactly.
And you've heard God's voice, so you know when it's God and when it isn't.
Yeah.
Right.
And
That's
then,
right.
and then, just reading her bio, look at all the places that she's been and all the things that she's done, and then she speaks more than one language. So you know God is using her. You know, who has an opportunity to go to all of those places? I haven't.
When God's your travel agent, it can happen. can't it?
Exactly, exactly.
right.
And she was going to do ministry. It wasn't, I just went to visit a country.
Yeah.
According to what I was reading, it was you were doing ministry every time. Am I correct?
Right, right. I worked for the State Department, but in my spare time, all the time I did ministry.
Yes, yes. And it says that you started doing ministry at the age of 12 after you got baptized.
Well, I think so,
Yeah.
about that time.
Yeah. If you're working for the Lord and you wasn't afraid, you were doing ministry.
That's right.
Well, what was the first ministry that you did, if I may ask? You remember?
Okay, what I consider the first ministry that I did was in chapter 1. Now, Miss Brenda asked me a question that kind of overlaps in that.
Okay.
Which one touched me the most? And that was the fact that my brother and I, in chapter 1, we were trapped inside of an ice box, and God spoke to me. That's the first time I have a record of God speaking to me. And I had to talk to my brother and obey God to get us out of that.
Wow.
And I was the one caused the whole problem in the first place. I was 5 years old, but I was already hard-headed and already crafty. So I caused us to get trapped in that box because I disobeyed God. So then the Lord used me to get us out of that situation.
And if you want to know the details on that, you got to buy the book.
Yes.
Now, see, and for people who are young and listening, they're going to go, well, the door just opens. All they had to do is kick it. But back in those times, refrigerators didn't just open. You had to actually pull the handle up. So it had a gear inside that it would lock inside. And so once you're in there, it's hard to get out.
You couldn't get out.
You can't get out.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure you had to, were you older than your brother?
I was just a year older than him.
Okay, so I'm sure she had to calm him down because I know he had to be frightened, knowing that those refrigerator doors are locked. And so,
next big question is, did the refrigerator light go out when you...
It wasn't electric.
Oh, okay, there you go.
It wasn't electric. It was a manual.
Silly question
It was an
about that.
ice box.
Oh, okay.
okay.
Oh, the
Okay.
icebox. Burr.
yeah, and those are the same way. They kind of lock when you close
Yeah, they
them. It's
lock.
not, because now even with the ice box, or we call them freezers, they just lift up. You know, if this is a floor level or if the one open like that. So there's no locking mechanism to keep you from getting out. And the reason why they started doing that, because a lot of people died.
A lot of people
kids.
died.
A lot of
Wow.
children died. Getting, you know, they're playing games. They were supposed to throw the refrigerator out. They're sitting in the backyard, and the next thing you know, they find them later.
Wow.
So that was, because I was going to ask that question. So that one is the one that touches your heart?
Yes, that's the one that touched my heart, I would say the most, because I realized that God saved my life. I realized it.
Wow, that is so
Do we need
beautiful.
to take a break right here?
Yes, we do. It's time to go to our commercial. And we have a company that supports this. We love them. And
Yes, we do.
please, if you need some insurance, contact them. So we'll go to the commercial.
American Family Insurance believes your dreams are what matter most. That's why we offer affordable ways to protect them.
My dream is to own a second car and a house with a 2-car garage to keep it in.
My dream is to start my own business and make my son my first employee.
Whatever your dream, we can help protect it. Learn more at amfam.com or contact your local agent. Your dream is out there. Go get it. We'll protect it.
Hi, this is Brenda Ward from Open Book Radio Club, and I recommend Julia C. Bennett at American Family Insurance. You can reach her at area code 702-395-1179. That's 702-395-1179. Or go to her website at juliacbennett.com. That's JuliaCbennett.com. She will be delighted to help you with all of your insurance needs. That's American Family Insurance.
We're back, and we're talking to Pastor Teresa Hatcher. This is her book. And I'm going to let you go ahead and give them the information as to where they can purchase this now, just in case we get a call or something, or we run out of time. So how would they be able to get your book if they wanted to purchase this?
Okay, I think the easiest thing for people to remember is Amazon.com. If you put it in correctly online, you will probably get the book without a problem. Just put Pastor Teresa Hatcher. Hearing God Speak. So that's Pastor Teresa Hatcher. That's Theresa. Hearing God Speak. And go to Amazon.com and you can find it. And there are several other ways you can get it, but that would be the easiest. And also you could call me or either go on my website at HatcherHallowChurch.com. Thank you.
Okay, now, if you want to call in and talk to Pastor Hatcher, we have time. Call 702-650-KKVV if you're listening on the radio and you're in town, 702-650-5588. And if you're watching on streaming, you can call 1-800-366-8883.
Yes, we definitely have time, and I'm telling you, this book has so much information in it. She just didn't say, okay, you got to hear from God, and brought up one or two subjects. It has a variety. As a matter of fact, at the bottom, the last question, I'm going to tell you some of the chapters that she has in the book. So definitely continue to tune in. If you have time, call a neighbor and let them know. It is a wonderful book, and it looks like we're going to have a caller. So if you can push that.
Hello, Valerie. How you doing?
Good. And hi, Brenda. I talked to you before. How are you doing?
I am wonderful, Valerie. Thank you.
Good, good. I've heard bits and pieces of this. I'm kind of in and out running errands. I love angel stories. I wanted to ask her a question. I know this really strong Christian man that says that he doesn't believe that God speaks to us in any other way but the Word. He's adamant about that. So, I mean, can you just, I'm going to get off the cell phone and listen for her answer, okay?
Okay, and thank you for
Thank
calling.
you. Okay, bye.
Yes. Well, that's a tragic. If you believe that God can only speak to you through his word. I will say this. Anytime God speaks to you, it certainly agrees with his word.
Has to.
God would never say something to you that's in direct conflict with his word. So every time God ever spoke to me, or I saw an angel, or he said, tell someone I'm going to bless them, it was always something that the word agreed with. But the Holy Spirit speaks to his people because the Spirit of God is within us.
Yes. Yes,
That's right.
definitely. And I think a lot of times people, they hear God, but they don't know that it's him.
That's
And so,
possible.
yeah, so they'll say, no, unless I'm reading the Bible and, it pops out at me, God doesn't speak. But God definitely does speak.
He does
He
speak.
does. And if you're listening for him, you will hear him. But if you're not, and that's your belief, then of course, he'll still speak to you, but you won't hear him. You'll never hear him.
Well,
So,
I'd say thank God that man is grounded in the Word. So when God does speak to him, he'll know it's God because he'll know the Word, won't he?
yes,
Exactly.
definitely, yeah. But I truly believe that he does. He's spoken to me several times, and I knew it had to be him because there was nobody else around. And what he said made sense, and what he said did come true. So I truly believe that God speaks, and that's why I was really anxious about getting this book and reading it. And then, like I said, with the subjects that she covers, my next question is going to be, tell us a little about Chapter 5, which talks about God versus witchcraft. So you see how she went from one to another. So she's
Yes.
covering a lot. So if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, for whatever reason, the Lord did teach me about witchcraft, especially when I was in West Africa. In Africa, witchcraft is very prevalent, especially in West Africa. And in order for me to even survive when I was there, I had to know about it. When I first went to Africa, I did not believe that witchcraft existed. I thought they were just making it up and that they were just full of stories, just like the man that doesn't believe that God speaks. I didn't believe that the devil was so prevalent that he would be able to do things to people like he did. But God himself began to teach me about it. And he let me know that what I needed to believe that it happened so that I would not be naive when it came to such things. So I tell in my book different instances that I came in contact with witchcraft, how that witchcraft attacked me and how it attacked other people, and how they were able to get set free.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Like I said, you got to get this book. I'm going to hold it back up again. We're going down to 4 minutes, and so we want to cover some major questions. but definitely it's Pastor Teresa Hatcher, and then Hearing God Speaks. Very easy. It's easy to remember. So if you really want to get some information, you need to get her book. Okay, let me pick out one good one because, like I said, our minutes are dwindling. Chapter 12, the title, Misbehaving Saints.
Yes, I say that this is the most embarrassing story I had to tell, and it's about things that I did that was wrong and that God rebuked me about. It was in one case, I made fun of a girl that I had never witnessed to. In another case, I lied and said that I was not planning to get, I wasn't planning to have surgery in order to get insurance, medical insurance. And it was a lie. And the Lord really got me about that. When we misbehave and we lie or we do something that's unbecoming to saints, God lets us know he doesn't like it.
Yes, and he does it immediately.
Yes.
Thank
That
God
just
for that.
recently happened to me, and I was crying. Woo! He does it immediately.
Exactly.
See, this book, I'm telling you. I want to get to that part about the marriage before our time runs out. So,
Last question?
well, actually, yeah, the last question. But you know what? It's covering the different stories in there. So can you go ahead and read that part to me, the last question?
Okay. Where can someone get the book, which
Okay.
covers false accusations? There's The Lord Save Me from Rape, Marriage is Honorable, and many others?
Right. Those are all in her chapter. So one more time, if you can read that.
Okay. Where can someone get your book, which covers false accusations in the church, The Lord Save Me from Rape, Marriage is Honorable, and many others?
Yes. Fantastic chapters, wonderful information. You have got to get this book. Can you give them that information again?
Yes. Just remember to go to Amazon.com. Everybody knows Amazon.com. Put in the book name is Hearing God Speak. Also put in the author, Teresa Hatcher. Pastor, put in the word pastor, Teresa Hatcher, and you should be able to find it.
Fantastic. We got another call?
Okay, Reggie. Got to make this one right to the point, Reggie. We only got 2 minutes to go. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering if your guest, when she saw the angels, did they have wings?
No, I've never, I have once in a vision seen an angel with wings, but the ones I saw in person did not have wings.
Okay, yeah, because when I was in second grade, I got saved by a guardian angel, and the angel did not have wings.
Oh, okay, wow.
Okay,
Fantastic.
very good.
Well,
Okay,
thank you, Reggie, for tuning in to Open Book Radio.
Yeah, thanks for
First
calling in,
time I
Reggie.
heard you, so I know you're a new caller, so we appreciate you listening in.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Reggie.
Okay, we're down to 30 seconds. This book is fantastic. It's 380 pages with a lot of chapters in there and different subjects, so definitely go on to Amazon.com and get that. Don't forget to tune in next week to Open Book Radio Club, and don't forget to go to the website. Glad to have you listen in, and I'll listen and hear from you next week.
Next week.
Thank you for tuning in every Saturday at 2:02 p.m. to Open Book Radio Club, where like-minded people tell their stories. Poets, authors, small businesses, spoken word, and music writers come together as a community. So don't forget, tune in every Saturday at 2:02 p.m. to Open Book Radio Club.
Hello, this is Samantha Landy. I'd like to invite you to listen to Psalms of Hope on Tuesday mornings at 9:30 here on KKVV. And if you'd like